Brian, many of us are aware of the recent merger with US Air and American Airlines. Give us a little bit of an insight on the life cycle of a merger.
I think the life cycle of an M&A activity is always exciting for everyone, right? There's the due diligence, the interest of, is this company right for us? And it goes through a variety of phases, ultimately culminating in what's hopefully a merger. Internal auditors have a great opportunity. As I travel around the world, talk with our colleagues in the profession, the opportunity for internal auditors to be a valued player at the seat of strategic operations is a really critical spot. And mergers is a real unique opportunity to do that. What we've done with the recent merger of American Airlines is worked with the internal audit staff there and Mary Lynn Mills, the general auditor, to really get a seat at the table. And that's the opportunity and something of value for all internal auditors. How do we bring value? How are we relevant? And how are we on the front end of things?
Well, great. Now, who decided that internal audit needed to have that seat at the table?
Well, that's a great question because I think a lot of times people will say, when does internal audit really become engaged?
Right.
How do we get in and get that seat at the table? Because there's lots of people. It could be the finance team, the accounting team, the legal team, all the various operational teams. But internal audit provides the opportunity to do assessments, do an ongoing risk evaluation, and monitor the activities. And so to become involved at the front end is a valuable spot to increase the role and the higher priority of internal audit within the organization. So it's really incumbent upon the internal auditor to present him or herself to the organization as a valuable asset to the overall operation.
And in your work, are you finding that internal audit is doing this, and even outside of the recent merger with American Airlines and US Air?
That's the big question.
Right.
A lot of people are asking, right? How do we increase the relevancy of internal audit?
Right.
I think we all know and can laugh about that internal audit may historically have been, check the box, do those things. But the real opportunity today is how do we get on the front edge, whether it's strategic evaluation. M&A is part of a strategic assessment. And so to put yourself forward in the internal audit capacity to be that. And let me give you an example of some things we're seeing. When you can do that, operations will go through their assessment of what do we need to bring an operation together. It's financial, technology, operations. It's a very complicated process. But auditors are equipped and trained with the opportunity to go through that in a logical fashion, to bring scorecards, metrics to bear that really help the business. And what we've seen in doing that, you become a valuable asset to the team members, the board, and senior management. So it's a great chance for internal audit to really shine.
Talk to me about competencies and how competencies are changing and how internal auditors might have to acquire different skill sets that might help with these new mergers and acquisitions and other things that we're asking internal audit to do.
Well, you can appreciate, right, because you're training and talking with people and what is the demand. I think we look at the technical training, right? We're all very technical people. We understand process, procedure, reporting. Ultimately, it gets down to some of the qualitative factors. How do we communicate? How do you interact? That stereotype that may exist historically of organizations really saying, well, we don't really want internal audit here. When you can start to change that dialogue to being proactive, to being on the front end, you can talk about whether it's a merger or a system implementation, the fact that an organization can say, these are things we see on the front end, right? I think too oftentimes internal auditors get tagged with the history of we've come in after everything's been done. And if we can fix it on the front end or be part of that conversation, it's really an interactive process that people start to see the value of what we can do. And I go back to the earlier comment, a little bit of self-promotion doesn't hurt.
Right.
And I think we're all, by nature, a little more stand-back-ish, not want to jump in the pool, but the water's fine. We all need to come in.